Space was never truly silent, at least not to those who knew how to listen. The hum of reactor coils, the distant thrum of gravitic stabilizers, and the soft pulse of 1,000 life support monitors created an orchestra of life inside the Astrius, humanity's most advanced medical research vessel. Dr. Alara Miles walked through the central corridor with the confidence of someone who had spent more time in microgravity than on solid ground. She was one of Earth's leading xenobiologists, assigned to study an anomaly recently discovered beyond the outer rim. Her mission was meant to be peaceful, purely scientific. But peaceful missions often require the strongest guns. That was why the Astrius, a civilian-class vessel, carried a full military security detachment. 2 armored soldiers marched beside her as she entered the biocontainment wing. These weren't ordinary guards. They were Terran Planetary Defense Force Marines, the most elite soldiers Earth had ever trained. Their armor gleamed with blue tactical stripes, and their helmets tracked every movement, every hint of danger. Dr. Miles, the lead Marine, Sergeant Rivenhale, spoke, visor reflecting the glowing lab screens around them. "You're running an experiment at this hour?" Alara nodded as she tapped a holographic interface. "We detected a biosignal from the anomaly fragment we retrieved. It's doing something. I want to run an isolation scan." Hale exchanged a glance with a second. "Corporal Sarah Nix will stay with you. Orders are to keep a Marine within 10 meters when you're working on that thing." Alara smirked. "Relax, Sergeant. It's a rock." "Rocks don't pulse with energy signatures," Hale muttered, "and they don't rewrite their molecular structure every 2 hours. True, the fragment sat inside a transparent containment pod, black, glossy, and shaped like a shard of obsidian. But every few seconds, faint violet threads of light slithered beneath its surface, like veins. Alara activated the isolation grid, beginning scan. But before the scanners completed their sweep, the lights flickered. A low rumble traveled through the ship. Hale straightened. "Bridge, this is Sergeant Hale in the lab. We just felt a tremor. Status." The calm crackle was static. No response. The rumble intensified, subtle at first, then violent, as if something enormous had swept past the hull. A klaxon blared across the corridor. "Red alert. All hands brace. Unidentified contacts inbound." Hale swore under his breath. "Doctor," stepped back from the pod. Alara backed away, heart pounding. What's happening? But she already knew. Rumors had circulated for months. Ghost sightings in distant sectors, vanished mining ships, fragments of alien transmissions intercepted by deep space relays. Humanity had dismissed them as anomalies. They had been wrong. The ship jolted as something slammed into the outer hull. A shockwave vibrated through floor. "Bridge to all units." Captain Arden's voice finally broke through, strained and breathless. "We are under attack. Unknown alien craft, multiple. They've locked weapons on us." A deafening roar echoed, somewhere far above, but close enough that dust shook loose from the ceiling. Nix shouted over the noise. "Doctor, move. We need to get you to shelter Sector 3. But before they could reach the exit, the containment pod cracked. Alara froze. No. This shouldn't be possible." Violet light seeped from the fissures, crawling like liquid across the pod surface. Hale grabbed her arm. "We're leaving. Now." The pod shattered. A burst of energy exploded outward, not hot, not destructive, but cold, like a rush of air from a tomb sealed for centuries. The lights flickered violently, plunging the lab into darkness for 2 terrible seconds. Then the emergency lights flashed red. The shard lay dormant again, lifeless, yet somehow opened, like an egg. Alara whispered, voice trembling. It reacted to something out there. Hale raised his rifle. Whatever it reacted to is tearing the ship apart. Marines, full escort. The hallway outside erupted with shouts. Gunfire. Screams. A soldier's voice over the comm. "Contact. We have hostile boarders. Unidentified species. Multiple casualties." Alara felt her chest tighten. This was no accident. No misunderstanding. Something had come for them. Nix activated her visor's tactical feed. "Sergeant, The boarders are cutting through deck 4 and 6 simultaneously. How many? Too many. Hale switch frequencies. Captain, this is Hale. We're with Dr. Miles. Awaiting orders. The captain's voice returned, barely above a whisper. Hale, they're not here for the ship. A pause. They're here for the doctor. Ilara's blood ran cold. The ship shook again. Harder this time, throwing equipment across the lab. Hale braced himself. Doctor, stay behind me. Whatever happens, we hold them off. Ilara swallowed. Sergeant, how many hostiles are on board? A distant metallic screech echoed to the corridor, like claws carving through steel. Hale exhaled slowly. Enough to kill everyone on this ship if we don't fight back. Red emergency lights pulsed along the ceiling like a heartbeat that was slowly failing. The Astrius, once a pristine medical vessel, now felt like a metal coffin drifting through a hostile sea. The screams on the comms were dying out, replaced by static and occasional bursts of chaotic gunfire. Sergeant Hale tightened his grip on his rifle and positioned himself between Dr. Ilara Miles and the dimly lit hallway ahead. Corporal Nix took the rear guard position, visor sweeping through thermal signatures and motion readings. Movement approaching, Nix whispered. 3 heat signatures. Closing fast. Hale lowered his stance. Doctor, stay behind us. No matter what you see, don't run. Ilara nodded, though her hands trembled. She had treated soldiers, dissected alien organisms, and studied cosmic anomalies her entire career. But no training could prepare her for the sound now echoing toward them. A scraping, a chittering, something crawling against the walls and ceiling. The Marines raised their weapons. The emergency doors blew open. 3 creatures lunged into the hallway. Tall, skeletal things with elongated limbs and armor-like exoskeletons that shimmered with iridescent dark green. Their eyes glowed like burning amethysts, fixed directly on Ilara. Hale fired first. His rifle spat bursts of kinetic rounds that cracked against the alien's armor, sending sparks across the corridor. Nix followed with precision shots, landing rounds into thinner patches at the joints. 1 alien dropped. The second screeched, a sound sharp enough to rattle teeth, and pounced toward Hale. Its claws grazed his shoulder armor, leaving deep claw marks in reinforced metal. Hale countered with a point-blank shot under its jaw. The creature convulsed and fell. The third alien ignored the Marines entirely. It sprinted toward Ilara. Nix shoved the doctor aside and fired a full burst into the creature's torso. It staggered but didn't fall. Hale lunged, tackling it into the wall, pinning its arms down with brute force. The alien shrieked, a loud, resonant call. Nix's helmet chimed. Sergeant, it just transmitted something. A signal. Hale crushed its throat with a final shot. Then more are coming. They moved fast, weaving through smoke-filled corridors and debris that had once been peaceful research labs. Bodies of crew members lay scattered, some military, many civilian. The attacks were precise, targeted. The aliens weren't just killing, they were hunting. Ilara's voice was barely a whisper. Why me? Why would they know who I am? Hale didn't answer immediately. He was focused on navigating through collapsed bulkheads and destroyed hallways. Nix responded instead, voice calm. Doctor, your research involved the anomaly shard. It reacted exactly when the aliens arrived. They may be connected to it or threatened by it. Ilara shook her head. It's just a mineral sample. We never identified any technology or biological. Doctor, Hale interrupted, that mineral cracked open by itself. We all saw it. A loud metallic clang reverberated from above them. Ilara looked up. Are they on the ceiling? No, Hale whispered. A deeper, heavier thump answered for him. They're everywhere. The group reached an anti-boarding checkpoint. 2 wounded Marines were pinned behind an overturned medical cart, while plasma scorch marks covered the walls. One of the wounded soldiers, Private Lorne, looked up with relief. Sergeant Hale, thank God. The hostiles concentrated on the aft section. They're cutting off escape routes. Status of the upper decks? Hale barked. Lost contact. I think deck 1 is gone. Ventilated. Ilara inhaled sharply. Deck 1 housed the navigation crew, and most of the scientists. Nix knelt beside Lorne, running a quick scan. You're stable enough to move. Come with us. I can still fight, Lorne insisted. His left arm was mangled, armor melted into flesh. Hale grabbed his uninjured shoulder. Private, listen to me. Our mission isn't to win this fight. It's to protect the doctor. Understood? Lorne nodded, swallowing pain. Understood. Another banging echoed from the ventilation shafts. This time, dozens of metallic claws scratched from inside the walls. Nix cursed. They're tracking us faster than expected. They know her scent, her biosignature. Something. Ilara's eyes widened. Scent? They've never encountered humans. How? The vents exploded outward. Hale reacted instantly. Down! Creatures poured out, smaller than the first wave, but faster, with spined ridges along their backs. The corridor erupted with gunfire. Hale's rifle overheated. He switched to his sidearm. Nix deployed a shock charge, stunning half the swarm. Lorne, with one functioning arm, used his rifle as a brace and fired relentlessly, screaming as pain shot through his body. A creature lunged at Ilara. Nix intercepted it, stabbing it with her combat knife, pushing it back long enough to blast it apart. Move! Hale commanded. Fall back to the armored bulkhead. They retreated through the chaos. Lorne covered them until the last second, shooting down 3 attackers before one of the creatures leapt onto him. His final shout echoed down the hall. Hale slammed the bulkhead controls. The heavy door sealed shut just as the creatures piled against it. Silence, except for Ilara's shaking breaths. Nix lowered her weapon. Sergeant, they're adapting. They're focusing on the doctor more every minute. Hale turned to Ilara. Dr. Miles, there's something you aren't telling us about that shard. Ilara closed her eyes and whispered the truth. It wasn't discovery, it was a warning. The armored bulkhead sealed behind them with a heavy clang, cutting off the screeching creatures on the other side. The corridor they now stood in was quieter, dimly lit by backup power strips along the floor. Every breath felt louder in the sudden silence. Sergeant Hale stepped in front of Dr. Ilara Miles, visor reflecting her fearful expression. Doctor, he said firmly, you need to explain what you meant by a warning, and you need to explain it now. Ilara hesitated. Nix was watching her too, helmet tilted, rifle still hot from the last engagement. I didn't tell the full truth, Ilara whispered, voice trembling, because I didn't think it would matter, because I didn't think they would come. Who are they? Nix asked. Ilara swallowed hard. We named them the Vakron, based on fragments of ancient star maps we recovered. But humans didn't discover those maps. She took a shaking breath. The maps were encoded inside the shard itself. Nix stiffened. The shard was a data archive? More than that, Ilara said. A beacon, a dormant alien artifact, broadcasting a signal we couldn't detect, not with human instruments. She pressed a hand over her face, and when it opened tonight, it stopped being dormant. Hale's jaw tightened beneath his helmet, so it was calling them. Ilara nodded, guilt heavy in her eyes. The moment it activated, they knew we had it. They traced the signal. Nix cursed under her breath. So we're not just under attack. We've been tracked across light years. Hale exhaled sharply. Doctor, why would a Vakron store a map or beacon inside a rock from an anomaly field? What's the purpose? Ilara hesitated again. This hesitation was different. Worse, because it wasn't meant for us. She looked up, voice barely audible. It was meant for another species. A species the Vakron exterminated thousands of years ago. The Marines went still. Hale stared at her. The shard belonged to a dead civilization? Not just dead, wiped out, erased. Ilara paced slowly, memories of her research surfacing like ghosts. We only found the shard because it drifted into the anomaly field centuries ago. The Vakron never expected another race to find it. Nix stepped closer. Doctor, what did the artifact warn about? Ilara's voice cracked. It warned that the Vakron purge any species that experiments with biology or energy systems similar to their own. The dead civilization they destroyed, their science was close to ours. Too close. Hale understood instantly. So the moment humanity started advancing in xenobiology, they marked us as a threat, Ilara finished, or as a future enemy. And this attack, it's a preemptive strike. A sudden metallic scraping echoed through the ventilation shafts above them. Nyx snapped her rifle upward. They're trying to bypass the bulkhead, she said. We don't have much time. Hale turned toward the intersection ahead. We need to get to the armored sanctuary deck. It's the most secure section on a medical vessel. From there, we regroup and plan extraction. Nyx nodded. Path is clear for now, but we need to move. Ilara followed, still shaken. Sergeant, if they're hunting me specifically. They won't reach you, Hale said. Not while I'm breathing. They moved down the corridor in tight formation. The floor vibrated intermittently. Explosions from distant sections of the ship. Alien shrieks echoed faintly, traveling through metal like whispers. Suddenly, the lights flickered and died entirely. Darkness swallowed them. Nyx activated her helmet lamps. Power cores unstable. The emergency lighting flickered back to life, but dimmer than before. Then Hale's comm crackled. Hale, do you copy? This is Captain Arden. Deck breach. Multiple hull failures. Hale pressed a finger to his comm. Captain, we hear you. Status of the bridge. Gone, the captain rasped. They boarded in overwhelming numbers. Hale, a wet cough. The Vacron, they're not here to destroy the ship. Their leader, he's here, looking for the doctor. You need to. A sharp, alien screech cut through the transmission. A struggle. More screams. Then silence. Captain. Hale yelled. Captain Arden? Nothing. Nyx lowered her head for a moment. He's gone. Ilara's knees weakened. This is my fault. All of it. I should have never brought the artifact aboard. Hale grabbed her shoulders firmly. Dr. Miles, look at me. She met his gaze, breathing unsteady. You didn't cause this. The Vacron did. And we're going to make them regret breaking into our galaxy. But to do that, we need you alive. Nyx's visor flashed. Motion signatures. Multiple hostiles coming fast. The sound came next. A thunderous, rhythmic pounding. Not claws. Not skittering. Heavy footsteps. Hale's eyes narrowed. That's not one of the smaller ones. Ilara froze as a cold realization swept through her. It's their leader. The pounding grew louder. Closer. Tremors shook dust from the ceiling. Nyx raised her weapon. Brace. The corridor lights flickered once. Then something massive smashed the far bulkhead, roaring with a deep, bone-shaking fury. And it stared straight at Ilara. The bulkhead crumpled like tin foil, metal screeching as a hulking silhouette stepped through the wreckage. Sparks cascaded from torn conduits, framing the creature in violent flashes of white and orange. Sergeant Hale instinctively shoved Dr. Ilara Miles behind him, rifle raised. Nyx took a knee, sighting down her weapon. But even with their guns trained, the towering alien didn't flinch. It was nothing like the smaller Vacron hunters they had fought earlier. This one was armored. Thick obsidian plates fused to its skin, glowing with faint violet veins, matching the artifact's eerie pulse. Its height nearly reached the ceiling. Its 4 arms flexed with unnatural fluidity, each ending in razor claws capable of slicing steel. And its eyes, cold, intelligent, burning like molten amethyst, locked directly onto Ilara. The warlord spoke. A deep vibration resonated through the corridor. Not words, but psychic pressure that made Ilara stumble. Her nose bled instantly, a thin trickle running down her lip. Nyx screamed. Contact is using neural pressure. Doctor, shield your mind. But before Ilara could react, Hale stepped forward and unleashed hell. Open fire. Gunfire erupted in deafening waves. Kinetic rounds hammered the warlord's chest and shoulders. Sparks burst across its armor. Nyx's shots targeted joints and sensory nodes. The corridor filled with a violent strobe of muzzle flashes. The warlord staggered under the onslaught, but did not fall. Instead, it slammed one massive fist into the floor. The impact detonated like a shockwave. Hale and Nyx were thrown backward. Ilara crashed against the wall, pain shooting through her ribs as she gasped for air. The warlord took another step toward her. Its voice echoed again, deeper, more forceful. This time Alara understood something. Not words, but intent. The creature wasn't merely trying to kill her. It wanted to claim her. Hale forced himself up, ears ringing. Nyx status. Nyx groaned, holding her head. Armor absorbed most of it. I'm good. The warlord lifted one of its arms, revealing a weapon grafted into its flesh. An organic plasma cannon. It hummed with gathering energy. Hale cursed. They fused their own bodies with weapons. Nyx fired again, this time releasing a high-voltage shock round. The projectile exploded against the warlord's torso, sending a burst of electricity crackling across its armor. The creature roared, more annoyed than wounded. Hale lowered his visor. Nyx, I need 5 seconds. Nyx blinked. 5 seconds for what? For something stupid. He charged. Hale, no! But it was too late. The sergeant sprinted straight toward the towering monster as it aimed its arm cannon at Alara. Hale dove, slamming his entire armored weight into the warlord's leg. The impact barely budged the creature, but it disrupted its aim enough that the plasma bolt slammed into the ceiling instead, vaporizing metal and sending molten fragments raining down. The warlord retaliated instantly, one of its upper arms grabbing Hale and lifted him off his feet by the throat. Hale kicked, struggled, claws scraping across his armor. Alara screamed, "Stop!" The warlord froze. Everyone froze. Alara stepped forward. One step, then another, almost as if drawn by some invisible tether. Her eyes glazed, not with fear, but with recognition. The warlord's gaze softened, not with mercy, but with something unsettlingly close to reverence. Nyx shouted, "Doctor, don't let it influence you." But Alara wasn't listening. She could feel the psychic pressure from the creature, an ancient echo, a memory threaded through the shards she had studied. Images flashed in her mind. Worlds burning, species erased, and one message repeated through millennia. Submit and survive. Resist and be purged. Alara's voice shook. You're not here to kill me. You think I'm... The realization hit like a punch. You think I'm one of them. One of the civilization you annihilated. Nyx's eyes widened. The artifact imprinted on her. Hale, still held by the throat, choked out, "Doctor, move back." But the warlord wasn't trying to kill Hale anymore. It dropped him suddenly, almost carelessly, and reached a massive hand toward Alara, palm open. Nyx fired a warning shot into the ceiling. "Enough!" Step away from her. The warlord snapped. It spun, sweeping its lower arms across the corridor in a devastating arc hail, and Nyx were flung against the walls like rag dolls. Nyx's helmet cracked. Hale's ribs shattered on impact. The creature turned back toward Alara, lowering itself until its massive form loomed just inches away. Alara whispered, terrified, "You want to take me?" The warlord tilted its head. "Not take. Claim. Possess. Use." Its voice thundered in her skull. "Seed of the lost. Come. You are ours." Alara stumbled back, finally breaking from its psychic grasp. "No. No." She grabbed the only weapon near her, a fallen Marine's shock baton, and activated it. The warlord lunged. Alara drove the electrified baton straight into the glowing veins on his chest. The corridor exploded with light as alien and human screams mixed. The warlord reeled back, roaring in fury and pain. Hale forced himself up, coughing blood. "Nyx, get the doctor out of here." Nyx staggered to her feet, grabbed Alara by the arm, and dragged her down the corridor. Behind them, Hale raised his rifle for what he knew might be the last time. "Come on, then," he roared at the towering alien. "Let's see what you've got." The warlord answered with a roar that shook the entire deck, and then it charged. Sergeant Hale stood his ground as the Vacron warlord thundered toward him, each step rattling the deck plating like falling meteors. His ribs screamed in pain, vision blurring with every heartbeat, but he raised his rifle anyway, because that was what soldiers did. His rifle barked fire, round after round hammering into the warlord's torso. The alien staggered but did not stop. Its 4 arms unfolded like blades. Hale switched to explosive rounds. A final, desperate burst. A micro-explosive detonated against the warlord's shoulder, tearing off a chunk of obsidian armor. Black ichor sprayed across the corridor. The warlord roared. Hale smirked through gritted teeth. That's right. I'm still here. The beast lunged. Hale dove aside at the last second, rolling behind a collapsed bulkhead. The warlord slammed into the wall where he had stood, denting the steel inwards. Hale coughed blood. Nix, get the doctor clear. I'll buy. Static answered him. The comms were dead. Elsewhere in the ship, Nix half-carried, half-dragged Dr. Lara Miles down a slanted corridor where fires flickered behind cracked radiation shields. The ship groaned around them, hull integrity failing, structural beams buckling. Ilara, stay with me, Nix urged, her voice strained. Ilara's mind was still ringing from the warlord's psychic assault. Images flashed behind her eyes. Visions of ancient alien wars, lost species, and a cruel hierarchy enforced by the Vacron across entire star systems. They won't stop, Ilara whispered. As long as I'm alive, they'll keep coming. They think I'm something important to them. Nix tightened her grip, which means we keep you alive. You hear me? That's the mission. They reached a sealed door marked Sanctuary Deck Alpha. Authorized personnel only. Nix slammed her palm against the control pad. Override, Nix Corporal. Security code Nix Delta 26. The door slid open. Inside was a reinforced compartment designed for surviving decompressions, fires, and short-term boarding assaults. It wasn't built to withstand an army, but it offered time. Time was survival. Nix guided Ilara inside and sealed the door. Locking bolts thudded into place. The doctor sank against the wall, trembling. Sergeant Hale, he won't survive that thing. Nix leaned against the opposite wall, her visor cracked, armor scorched. He'll hold the line. He always does. But she didn't believe her own words. Back in the corridor, Hale crawled out from behind the bulkhead, gasping from pain. His armor was cracked open along the side, exposing torn undersuit and blood. The warlord turned toward him slowly, one of its lower arms hanging limp from the earlier explosion. But its other three were ready to kill. The creature advanced. Hale checked his equipment. His rifle was destroyed. His knife was gone. He had only one tool left, a high-yield anti-boarding charge. He ripped it from his belt and armed it. The tiny indicator glowed red. The warlord paused, sensing danger. Hale grinned. Come on, you oversized nightmare. Let's go together. The warlord understood what the device was. It hissed, lowering its stance, preparing to leap away. Not fast enough. Hale sprinted forward, shouting with every last shred of strength for Earth. He slammed the charge directly into the warlord's chest. The alien roared and backhanded him with enough force to throw him across the corridor. The device beeped once, a second, a third, then detonated with a bone-rattling shockwave. The explosion tore through the deck, blowing out walls and sending fire down the adjoining corridor. Metal screamed. The floor buckled. When the smoke cleared, Hale lay motionless, barely conscious. The warlord was down, slammed into a crumpled heap at the far end of the devastation. Its torso was shredded, ichor pooling beneath it. One of its remaining arms twitched weakly. Hale forced a laugh, blood filling his lungs. Yeah, I thought so. But the victory was short-lived. A new vibration rippled through the ship. Something heavy, multiple somethings boarding. Hale's fading vision saw shapes crawling to the torn hull. Vacron reinforcements, dozens of them. The warlord wasn't dead yet, and more were coming. Hale reached for his comm, dead. Reached for his weapon, gone. He whispered, Ilara, Nix run, then his eyes closed. Inside the sanctuary deck, a loud thud shook the sealed door. Nix raised her rifle instantly. They found us. Ilara stood shakily. Nix, we can't fight a whole squad. Nix didn't answer. She was focused on the door. Another thud. Another. Metal bent inward. Ilara stepped back. They're breaching. Nix activated the emergency beacon. Its signal weak, but it might reach someone, anyone in Terran space. Doctor, she said quietly, if that thing gets in, you run. Don't think. Just run. Ilara shook her head. I'm not leaving you. You don't have a choice. The metal shrieked as claws pierced through. Nick steadied her rifle. Ilara stared at the breaching door, heart pounding so loudly she could barely breathe. Then, a new sound echoed through the hull. A deep, distant thunder. Nix frowned. What the hell is that? The deck vibrated. Stronger, rhythmic, almost like warp engines. But not theirs. Ilara's eyes widened in disbelief. Nix whispered, reinforcements? But something felt off, very off. The Vacron stopped clawing at the door. Silence. Then a violent flash of white light flooded the corridor outside the sanctuary. Nix shielded her eyes. What was... A voice echoed through the ship. Ancient. Familiar. Seed of the lost. It wasn't the warlord. It was something far worse. The deck plates of Astra 9 trembled as the alien dreadnought pulled itself free from the collapsing energy rift. The creature ship, half metal, half something disturbingly organic, hovered above the crippled research vessel like a predator considering the final bite of a dying prey. Inside the command center, alarms painted the room red. Consoles flickered. Smoke crept from a ruptured support column. Captain Rourke planted his boots, gripping the rail as the ship lurched. Damage report, he shouted over the chaos. Structural integrity at 30%. Lieutenant Karu responded. We can't take another direct hit. Dr. Celine Voss, face pale, eyes blazing with a mix of fear and furious determination, studied the biological readings floating above her console. They're adapting to our weapons. Whatever hit that thing isn't enough anymore. Then we hit harder, Rourke growled. But deep down, he knew the truth. Astra 9 was out of time. The alien message. Without warning, the room fell silent. A low-frequency hum vibrated through the air, unnatural, bone-deep. The monitors flickered, and a pulsating symbol appeared. It looked like a spiral of jagged teeth rotating around an empty void. Karu swallowed. They're trying to communicate. Rourke crossed his arms. Put on speakers. Static crackled, followed by a distorted, layered voice, like several mouths speaking at once. Human specimens. Your vessel carries forbidden genetic codes. Surrender. Comply. Celine stiffened. Forbidden codes? They're talking about the xenobiotic regeneration strain I was studying. But that experiment was only in early trials. Rourke turned to her. Doctor, did your research involve alien origin material? Not intentionally, she replied. But the sample we received months ago, something was off. It was dormant, unclassified. We thought it was a harmless anomaly. But now, Karu whispered, they want it back. The alien voice returned, harsher this time. Surrender the Voss code, or be erased. Celine stepped back as if struck. Rourke didn't hesitate. No, not happening. Preparing for the last stand. The dreadnought's energy cores glowed like molten suns, preparing another attack. Rourke snapped orders. Karu, route all remaining power to shields. Ortega, bring the rail batteries online. Dr. Voss, prep the gene core for containment. Celine blinked. You're planning to destroy it? I'm planning to make sure they don't get it. For several seconds, she said nothing. Then she nodded, resolute, grieving. I'll do it. Across the ship, surviving crew sprang into action. Sparks flew from ruptured conduits. Medic drones carried injured personnel to safer compartments. The hum of charging weapons vibrated through the halls. A massive shadow eclipsed the stars outside. The alien dreadnought was closing in. The impossible decision. The doctor arrived at the heart of Astra 9, the gene stabilization chamber. The core hovered inside a containment field, an orb of shifting blue light, filled with microscopic code strings forming complex, impossible patterns. A living blueprint. Celine stared at it, whispering, I spent years building you, and now I have to erase you. Her hand hovered over the purge command, but before she could press it, the door sealed behind her. Rourke's voice crackled through the intercom. Doctor, I'm sorry, but we need you to take the escape pod. What? We're scuttling the ship. If anyone deserves to survive this, it's you. Celine slammed her palm against the glass. Rourke, don't you dare. But the captain interrupted. You're the only one who can rebuild the research safely back on Earth. And if this organism is dangerous, humanity needs your mind to contain it. Her voice broke. You're sacrificing yourselves. Rourke answered with a rare softness. Security's job is to protect the mission, and you're the mission. A moment of aching silence followed. Then the floor trembled violently as the alien dreadnought unleashed a gravitational lance that tore through the hull. Time was up. The final transmission. Celine sprinted down the corridor. Explosions rippled overhead. Panels fell. Gravity fluctuated. Behind her, over the ship-wide intercom, she heard Rourke giving his final command. Crew of Astra 9, activate Omega Protocol. The engines roared, the ship beginning to charge its overload. She reached the escape pod, jumped inside, and slammed the hatch closed. Tears burned her eyes. Rourke's final words echoed in her headset. Dr. Voss, tell Earth we didn't run. The pod launched. She watched to the viewport as Astra 9, battered yet defiant, accelerated directly toward the alien dreadnought. The two vessels collided, merging into an explosion so bright it carved a temporary scar across the darkness of space. Silence. Just Celine, alone in the drifting pod, carrying the last remnants of the experiment and the last memory of the crew who gave their lives to protect it. She whispered into the recorder. This is Dr. Celine Voss, survivor of Astra 9. Humanity was attacked, and we will answer. Her message transmitted toward Earth. The war had just begun.